battery. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Today, February 7th. There you go. Sweet. I could take that. Right. Let us begin. Today is February 7th, 2023. And I'm always trying to figure out every day what video I should be working on. I really do try my best to not actually plan anything so that I can create a sense of spontaneity and also an original thought, and also the challenge of not planning. I do at times create a mental schedule of when I'm going to work on these things. So for example, at times I'll wake up at night. Wake up at night. That tells you how I just woke up. I'll stay up at night, late night, and I do that because that's when everyone's asleep. So I get the most done when I just have an uninterrupted space of time. So I wake up. So I stay awake, maybe to like 2, 3, sometimes 4, sometimes later, and just get my work done. And other times I will have it done the morning of. This case scenario, I woke up at 5:30ish in the morning so that I can work on this. And the funny thing is that I had this whole idea of what I wanted to work on, and I woke up and I felt different, completely different. And that's the point of these videos for me, is for it to be an honest expression of what you're feeling and what you're thinking day to day. Sometimes they're deep thoughts, sometimes they're fun experiences, sometimes they're, hey, do you remember when this happened? We should share this. And the challenge for me is for every day to try to come up with a new idea. It's less about the videos, and it's more about the idea and the approach, and then the time limit that I have to make that happen. The challenge for me is to live in a moment, more or less, because if I approach this project with this idea of planning it too much, I'm going to be inauthentic. And one of my fears, I guess, with this platform is to be inauthentic to myself. And if I'm inauthentic to myself, then who am I to an audience? Now, I think that there's a lot to debate and unpack in that conversation, but a lot of this is also training, performance training, in how you can just tap into an idea and go into that direction. Now, what I felt different this morning, I had this whole idea that I wanted to share, mainly about just where I'm at within dance. And I had this like whole shot sheet. I wrote it. Let's see if I can find it. I wrote a whole shot sheet here of like the different, I don't know if you can see it right there, the different shots, and then I had a voiceover that I wrote, and I was gonna do all of that, and I just woke up and I felt very different. And the reason that I felt different is because today, February 7th, is a day that I'm having a meeting with my friends, and I wanted to mark this as a log. Like a true vlog, which is just checking in and sharing a bit of that story. I'm meeting with my friends to tell them my next big idea. I thrive on ideas. One of the big things that I do in and for my company is sharing original ideas for brands and businesses to help them thrive, but in their own identity. So I thrive on ideas, sometimes executing them is the troubling part. But I find myself trying to, in the last year or so, trying to figure out what the next stage, which the next step is. And I'm going to be very honest with you. Last year, I hit this really weird block in my life because I just wasn't sure if Florida was it. If that is where I should be. I had questioned whether I should, take my family and move to Georgia, because Atlanta is one of the biggest growing industries, if not one of the biggest industries right now in entertainment. So as a filmmaker, as an actor, as an entertainer, as a storyteller, it's kind of, yeah, that makes sense. But for me specifically, I'm from New York, so I know that feeling of being involved and rooted in a big, large population of creative people. And while, of course, that is challenging and also it sharpens you to become better, me personally, it's just not what I want. I want to create something new. And anything that I've ever done and ever approached within art itself, it always had to come from some sort of original place for me. Now, there's nothing new underneath the sun. Many things have been done before. But for me, I really wanted to approach this next step with the same mentality. And that was, what can I create with my own resources and my community that is new to this world? So today I am launching what I call Project South Rock. There's a lot of moving parts in this, and the best way that I could explain this is that this is going to be everything that I've ever done in my time of living in South Florida and bringing it to the present time. A little backstory. I grew up in Long Island, New York, and I always went to this place called The Rock, and it was in Brentwood, Central Islip, and this is where I first experienced hip-hop culture. It was like straight out of the movies, honestly. I was going to Sachem High School, which is definitely not the hood, and I was dancing, and I thought I was the shit, and I was high on life, and people knew me as a dancer, and I was dope. And then I had a friend, Miss J is her name, Jackie. She challenged me, and she was like, "You should come with me Thursday night to experience real hip hop." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, whatever." And then I went with her Thursday night to Brentwood. This is where she grew up. She was like a transfer student, or her family moved to Sachem, and I don't even know the whole story, but I ended up there, and I was culture shocked, and I was humbled. And it was the first time for me that I experienced culture, connection, and honest community. It was this place called the Rock Community Church. And ironically, when I spoke to the pastor there, he spoke about this place that he really admired, which was called Catalyst, Miami, or Catalyst, I think at the time it was in Fort Lauderdale. But he mentioned it, and I had no recollection of what that actually was. Fast forward later on, I spent most of my early 20s at Catalyst, Miami, experiencing the same thing that I did at The Rock, which was a community of people that were involved with bettering themselves and the community itself through hip-hop culture. And that really became a huge defining experience for me. Everything that I've ever done in my life was rooted out of that experience, which was being surrounded by community, intention towards an art form, and also connecting to yourself as an artist, but also connecting to the people around you. And through experiences like that led me to Catalyst, and also led me to building House of Drums. And 2013, my wife and I started dating, and she joined me on that journey, and we built House of Drums together, and it changed Florida forever. And I mean, when you look at, I can't take credit. honestly, I can't take any credit for the people that have come out of drums and what they've done in their life. I can't take credit for their talent. But I am very proud to know that certain people have walked through those doors. And as they walked through those doors, they excelled in areas that I couldn't even imagine. Some people that came out of House of Drums, you see them on some of the biggest stages. You see them becoming leaders in their own community. They've become exceptional professionals, and most importantly, they're good people that honestly generally want to help. And that's that ripple effect. That's that ripple effect that you get, when somebody creates a platform, and while it may be for them, it's more importantly for the community or the people that need it. And they take that idea, that inspiration, and they go into places you would never even imagine. I'm pretty sure, I think his name was Danny, the pastor at The Rock. I'm pretty sure he couldn't imagine all the kids that came out of that, myself included, and all the people that have come out of that place, and to see the things that they've done, not just in dance and on the dance floor, but also off the dance floor. I mean, that, when you talk about the concept of how I understand ministry, it's like a 12 disciple concept. It's not it's really a family that is found through honest friendship and inspires a community. I mean, just to drop some names, some of the greats have come out of The Rock. And I have the honor too, to be able to kick it with one of my homies from The Rock, which is my friend Ganson that moved down here, and he's like hometown hero to me. And it's really cool just to have that connection with somebody that from my past that's now a part of my present, and is also helping me build the future. You got Little Devious, you got Kelvin, BL, rest in peace. Samuel doing amazing things on the West Coast, but also just in his life, and also someone that I really look up to, Danny Infamous, who's still very active in the community, and as a family man, and someone I can say from afar I look up to. From afar meaning it's distant because he lives in New York and I'm down here. There's a lot from that chapter of my life, and moving into from Catalyst to House of Drums to now, I want to kind of go back to the roots of that concept, which is The Rock, and bring that into my life here in South Florida, and that's where Project South Rock comes in. So I'm going to be sharing that idea, all the fundamentals and foundations of what that is, with my friends today. There's a lot of moving parts. You've seen bits and pieces of me trying to build it around the house, within our studio. And essentially, I'll give you this little bit. There has been so much work that has been done in my area. But when you think of South Florida, you don't think of my area. You think of Miami. And personally, one of the reasons, I just have to be honest, one of the reasons that I just have to be honest, one of the reasons for me that I actually stopped wanting to work in the film industry, living down here, was because of the Miami industry, very honestly. I came from New York union work as a teenager and loved it. And then when I came down here, absolutely hated it. Even to a point where I said, I don't want to work in this industry. I don't even know if I want to do video anymore. And I went all over in various places of work. And since I started acting, I find myself always having to go to castings in Miami. And look, I love my friends in Miami. I'm not saying Miami people are bad people. I'm just talking specifically my experience of living, breathing, working in the industry of Miami. And when I compare it to what I know of that's also out there in other industries in other states, it's not something that I want to wake up to and go and work at. So since I've been acting, I've been finding myself having a similar experience where I really enjoy the craft of acting. But the industry in Miami, it taints it for me, and it doesn't encourage me. It doesn't make me want to keep doing it. So I find myself with this decision again, which is how I felt in dance. Do I move somewhere else and try to experience an art form that I love with another community? Do I complain about it and just get jaded in my own area? Or do I try to build my own community? And when I say my own, not something that I own, but something with myself and my friends build together. And look, I know what it feels like to be in a huge population of people and be surrounded by thousands of people and still feel really alone. And I don't want that feeling. So I don't think that moving to a big city for me is an option that I want for myself or for my family. And that's not to say that I wouldn't work out there. I'm talking about living. But where you live is also a big decision on where you're going to work. And if what you're looking for isn't there, you have to just take a moment and decide whether you're gonna move and be part of somebody else's industry and dream, or try your best to build your own. Now, I'm well aware that in taking this approach, I may spend the rest of my life building it and get absolutely nothing from it, but the next generation will. And because I have children, that makes all the difference for me, is building a creative community that they can return to and live in and thrive in their lifetime. So in one part, it is a big part of me, in hopes that it will uplift my own energy and creativity and community, as well as my artistic approach on anything. But realistically, more importantly, it's for them. During the break, I had this really deep question of like, man, I really like trails and mountain life, and I really like going on hikes and just the Four Seasons. I really miss the Four Seasons. And I had this real honest question, like, maybe I should just take my family and move. And then when I got back, I got to kick it with my friends again and all the people that are here. And I realized that so much of my son's mannerisms, his approach to life, how he interacts with life, is because of the village that is raising him. And it's not just me and my wife. We're a big part of it, of course, but it's also just the little village that's around him, from the people within the community to the core center that he's also a part of. And the same thing will be for Bali. And as a parent, man, that's just what I care about the most, very honestly. So in the respect towards art, as a b-boy, especially coming from the rock, I was always told or influenced to have a signature approach to your art form. Like when I was at the rock, everybody that did moves, it's like they were wrestlers. They had their signature moves. So they had very original concepts to how they approach their movements, and you get some freaking nasty, really dope artists that have come out of that place. And that's where I understand my approach and concept to art in general, is to approach everything with some sort of original thought that is a self-expression. So in being a part of an industry, in creating anything, I hope that it just has a signature stamp on it, that we can build something that we sign off on as a community, that is not somebody else's, that is not influenced. Oh, I mean, we're going to have our influences, of course, but it's going to be just something new and different to the world. So today, February 7th, 2023, will be day one of building the foundation of Project South Rock. And South Rock is, what's important about it for me is, yes, building a home and a creative community within the various things that we do: filmmaking, photography, acting, performance art. I think the list goes on and on. But I want to make a clear separation that the people working in and on this project is not involved or from Miami. We are in Broward County, and there has been some amazing things that have come out of our area, and amazing artists that just nobody knows about. And that's because nobody has told the story, and nobody has collected a community together, made a collective of individuals that move a creative community forward. There are some really amazing artists in my area that work independently and are separate. I hope that through this work we can bring them all together, and then also start inspiring the next generation. Because really this is where the ripple effects really happen. Again, I was 15, 16, going to the Rock, and all the work that I've really ever done has been mainly inspired from that experience, and some other experiences too, like Sachem Hip Hop Club, which was led by my friend Rocky, who was like a big brother to me at the time. And even his approach to building community is a big inspiration of mine. Ivan Urban Action Figure, who was a big influence on me growing up, and his approach on movement, and just as far as culturally, his approach was a big influence. You get David Mancuso, from the founder of The Loft in New York. You got Larry Levan, whose work as a DJ. And then you got Tony Touch, who I still work with from time to time with Funkbox, who in my opinion changed the face of house culture in the whole world through one event that happens every Sunday. So you get these community outreach events that really change the world through their own community. And hip-hop has this saying, conquer your block, conquer the world. And South Rock, what it's based off of, is family discovered through friendship that inspires community creatively. So today is day one, Project South Rock. We have a whole bunch of things coming your way. This is kind of why I've been a bit low-key, and I haven't really been like out and about in the world when I got back. I just been waking up and grinding towards that idea, and there's a very good chance I could fall completely on my face, but I think I'm so mentally committed towards this idea that even if I fall, it's just going to be part of the process. I'm also really nervous to do this because I've done a lot of work like this, and at times I wonder if my dedication towards that work has taken me further away from myself. But then I also realize that that work is also some of the, when I think about my happiest moments living in Florida, it would be through that work and the people that were a part of that work. And I've realized that what makes me really inspired creatively is people, is being around people and seeing how an idea, a simple idea, can change not just you, but your family and your friends and your whole community. I've seen it happen time and time again. And through my journey of ministry as well, I hope that the seed of goodness carries in and through this work as well. So I wanted to share that, and my greatest hope is that people get to experience it and they support it, and not just support it, but they thrive from it as well. So, cheers. To the ending of that era and welcoming a new era.